The last rites of MF Husain are being performed at London, and it's over to Simrat Ghuman for more.
Yes, we are here at Idara-e-Jafriya Mosque in Tooting, where the funeral service has just concluded. I'm joined by Suhail Sage, by Mr. Ram, who's the editor of The Hindu, and of course Shahnaz Hussain as well. First we'll go to you, Mr. Ram. What are your thoughts? Now that you attended the service, what are your thoughts?
It was a beautiful service, very simple. And he was a devout Muslim, very liberal. He really longed to come to India, but was never bitter about anything that happened. He was very sad, but I think for the last phase of his life, where he painted prolifically, was a liberating experience after the troubles of the whole decade. He made a go at it. He really, you remember his first exile, when things were very difficult. He came back, gave it a try, pretty long try, and then just couldn't continue because the harassment was so great. The physical threats, the vandalism, the legal cases, which bothered him immensely because the process was the punishment. I think it's really the failure of the system. I'm not talking about any individuals here. The whole system failed to protect his freedom of expression, his creativity, his genius. So in a sense it was fitting that he found that solution. And I wasn't for a moment opposed to the decision of Hussain Saab to first emigrate to Dubai and then to Qatar. In fact, I remember in February 2010, when I was in a New York hotel, I got a call early morning where he read out, I, Hussain, MF Hussain, Indian, I remember the words like yesterday, Indian origin artist, have been honored by Kuwaiti nationality, and he made it a point to emphasize that he didn't seek it, it was conferred on him. But he longed to return to India, and I heard that he had instructed his family that wherever he died, wherever the end came, he should be buried there, and the body shouldn't be taken back, wherever. He called me on Tuesday, Tuesday afternoon, from his hospital bed, and in a very calm and low voice told me that, matter-of-factly in fact, that he had suffered a silent heart attack some time ago in Dubai. That it had gone undiagnosed. The doctors were much better here, and he was in London. So I said, where? And he said, the Royal Brompton Hospital. I asked him how he he was feeling, and he said, I don't think there are any complications. I asked if anyone, I knew he had lots of friends here, but I did ask, should I inform anyone about your being hospitalized? He said, no, I think my family is on its way. And that was the last we heard. I wish I'd come here. Because it looked like he was hopeful and he was going to recover, and we missed that.
Yes, he did seem quite confident that he would recover, and this was clearly not the end. He was not prepared for it. But the fact that he said his family was on its way, did you have any sort of premonition, or did you have any thoughts? That
I wrote about it in The Hindu, in a requiem for MF Husain, that I did have some foreboding that this was in effect a farewell call. Very, very matter of fact. There's absolutely no sentimentality there. I was quite touched that he had called me. I think he had these mobile phone numbers, very adept at it, and for some reason he called me to inform me, and I think it was a privilege.
Ma'am, you also attended the funeral. You've been here for some time. When was the last time you saw him?
I saw him outside Starbucks. We were having coffee, and he dropped in, and we sat a little while, and he talked to my last visit. And he said that, what are you doing here? I said, I'm just here for a holiday. And he made some little sketches which I have of doves and the horse's head on the back of a Starbucks bill. And then he walked off. And then this time I rang up, I said, Hussain, how are you? He said, fine. But he's coughing non-stop. And I said, can I come and see you? He said, yes. I'm having treatment, I'm better. But water has entered the lungs and we are having treatment. So I said, aap aa jaye khane par? So he said, no, I can't come. So I said, can I come? He said, haan. So I said, whatever you have, I'll cook and bring. He said, no, I have my own food. So I said, okay, then when should I see you? He said, come, aaj matao, come on Thursday. And that was the last time. And he was very well informed that you've been to Oxford. That means you read the paper. I said, where do you read it? He said, well, I read every Indian paper every day. And he knew about Oxford, he knew about MIT, he knew about Kellogg's. His knowledge was very good on what I was doing. And I said, fine, हम आपसे मिलेंगे Thursday को फिर इंशाल्लाह we sit together. But he was coughing non-stop. And he coughed so much that I told Rashu, I said, इनसे phone, I said, आप Rashu को वापस दे दीजिए. Rashu's grandfather and my grandfather real brothers. तो हमने कहा रशु का आप दे दें फ़ोन. तो रशु के हमने कहा रशु को फ़ोन ना दीजिए, खांसी हो रही. इन एवरी वर्ड ही वाज कॉफिंग. सो ऐसे इनको शायद तकलीफ हो रही है, स्ट्रेन ना हो जाए. तो ठीक है, सी यू थर्सडे फॉर डिनर. ठीक है, आई फाइन. That was the last that I heard. Yesterday morning when I got up, I was just told that he was gone. So I rushed there.
You were talking about the sketches that he made for you. That was very typical of him, very generous. He would make sketches for everyone who came to see him.
But what little unusual story that nobody knows really was that the last time I was here, I met him in Selfridge wearing a red kaftan, and he got after me, I want to paint you now. I want to paint you now. I said, I can't. I've got an appointment with the cosmetic buyer of Selfridges after 2 months. He said, no, you have to come with me now. So I had no option. I rang up the buyer. I said, I've got a problem. Can I come another day? And she gave me a date 1 month later. And I went back to his flat. He painted, made a sketch of me, and maybe about 3, 4, 5 hours. But he went on sketching. He just says, I have to paint you now. And I left, and he hadn't finished painting, but he'd done a lot of it. And then I came back to India, and I forgot, and he forgot. And one day I was sitting upstairs in the building, and the lady said that somebody left something for you and gone away. And Hussain had come back after about 2-3 months and left the painting with a scroll downstairs and walked off. Then I asked Hussain, what's this? He said, मैंने बना के छोड़ दिया, तुम वापस नहीं आई. I said, ये तो हमारी तरह लगती नहीं, ये तो कोई queen सी लगती है, नदार, princess. And he said, my idea of you is Mughal princess, and I have a right to paint what I think that you should be looking like.
Yes, it's a typical spirit of the man. Talking about his joie de vivre for life, I mean, you were talking about that, and I also know that he had a Ferrari in Dubai. So can you tell us something about the spirit of the man?
I think, as Ram was saying, he was devoid of what I would call peripheral sentimentality. He wasn't the kind of person who would demonstrate affection and demonstrate things, but he just lived his life without ever judging people or without ever wanting to be judged, and in case he was judged, it didn't matter. So the Ferraris, the Bentleys, the Muses were part of his being. They were part of his celebration, and we've seen that with creative people across history, across the world. We've seen that in our own country. You've had epic tales of the Raj Kapoor way of life or the Kapoor Khandan way of life. There is a grandness because in their minds they know that their creativity can't ever be hampered, can't be restricted by what society tells them to do. And they're rooted to the soil. As I said earlier, I will repeat, he was an ordinary man with extraordinary virtues, and that's how he would always define himself. He wouldn't go out and make a play of what he was or what he did. I mean, there have been tales about him not wearing shoes and him being turned away from clubs in Calcutta. I mean, he took it in his stride. Some people say, was it publicity? Some people say, was it the man? And I still believe it was the man. The man never had the guile to be a publicist. He didn't have that manipulative bone in his body which would, tinker with societal behavior and establishing what society would believe about him. So to that end, he was simple, he was genuine, and most importantly, he was a compassionate man.
Mr. Ram, sir, you've been in touch with him, Mr. Husain, for the longest of times. Do you know what he was working on at the moment, and how upbeat was he about it?
We met him in Dubai last year, and he took us to his studio. I think many others have seen it. One was the history of Indian civilization done largely in London. We saw it here. He showed it here. History of Arab civilization, and then that magnificent series on the Indian film industry, which you'll see in his studio. And some of his best paintings were there. He took us late at night and showed it. He flew in from Qatar. I think he's working on many things, but these were series. But what he said was he was much taken with the last phase of Picasso's life, and said he just painted and painted, and he told me once that I want to be like that and just paint as I grow older, completely free. And I think the Dubai and Qatar provided him that, it really provided him that liberating space for which we are. I think it is a blessing that he got that. So I don't regret the fact that he died. We don't have to be hyper-nationalistic and say he became a national of Qatar and died in London. No, nothing wrong with that.
And as Ram said, the title of his work was and remains from Mohenjo-daro to Manmohan Singh. I mean, I don't think Manmohan Singh can ever be captured by any artist other than M.F. Husain. I mean, no artist would actually think of Manmohan Singh as the epitome of capturing someone on canvas. And as he says, I think this nationality issue is an issue that has been done to death by the media. Creative people don't belong to geographies. They don't belong to domains that have been made by man. They are unfettered. They're like birds in the sky. They don't. Yeah, but actually, they don't fall within the domains that people like you and I do. I mean, perhaps not you. So, I don't think it's fair to say, oh, but he took nationality of Qatar and therefore he was any less Indian. As I said, you could take India away from Hussain, but you couldn't take Hussain away from India.